Welcome to the deep dive. So, May, it's a really pivotal month for anyone gardening organically, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. It's when things really kick into high gear.
Yeah.
What you do now sets the stage for the whole season.
Exactly. And that's what this duck dive is all about. We've pulled together some great advice focusing on those key tasks you can do right now for a thriving, sustainable garden.
Yeah, our mission today is pretty clear. Give you practical, actionable steps for May. Think strong plants, healthy soil, natural pest control.
All done in a way that's mindful of the environment.
Precisely, and the sources cover a lot of ground, don't they?
They really do. Everything from direct sowing tips now that the soil's warming up.
To looking after those seedlings you started indoors and figuring out the right time to move them out.
Right, and succession planting, how to keep the harvest coming. Plus organic ways to handle pests and weeds, mulching, composting.
And we'll tackle some common May gardening questions, too.
Okay, let's jump in. Direct sowing outdoors seems like a good place to start.
Definitely. It's one of the simpler ways to get started with many veggies in May. The soil's warmer, days are longer.
But timing and technique are still important, right?
Absolutely crucial. You can't just chuck seeds in and hope for the best.
So work crops are really good for direct sowing this month, according to our sources.
Well, carrots and beetroot are prime examples. They really don't like having their roots disturbed.
So starting them where they'll grow is best.
Exactly. And there's a neat tip about pairing them with peas.
Peas. Why peas?
Because peas are legumes, they fix nitrogen from the air into the soil. It's like a little natural fertilizer boost for their neighbors.
Wow, okay. That's smart gardening, working with nature.
That's the core of organic gardening, really, building these beneficial relationships. Oh, and a note on beans, maybe hold off sowing those until mid-May.
Especially in cooler zones like zone 6 or below.
Yeah, they just need that bit more warmth to get going properly. Patience pays off.
Good tip. Okay, before sowing anything, we need to talk soil prep. It's foundational.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the advice is not about heavy digging.
No, more gentle. Right, it's just loosening the top layer.
Exactly. Use a fork, loosen the top few inches. Deep digging can actually mess up the soil structure, the worms, the fungi.
And then add the good stuff, compost or well-rotted manure.
That's it. Feed the soil, not just the plant. That's the organic way. It builds resilience.
What about mulch? Is that important even at the sowing stage?
Yeah, especially if you have, say, heavy clay or very sandy soil. A layer of organic mulch like straw or shredded leaves helps keep moisture even.
Makes sense. Keeps the soil from drying out or getting hammered by rain.
Right. And speaking of continuous supply, succession sowing.
Ah, yes, for avoiding that glut then famine situation.
Exactly. Things like radishes, lettuce sow a small amount every couple of weeks.
So you get a steady harvest instead of everything at once.
Precisely. And you mentioned companion planting earlier with the peas?
Right. And the sources also mention the classic carrots and onions pairing.
Yeah, the onion scent helps mask the carrot smell from the carrot root fly. It's a simple, natural deterrent.
Clever. Okay, but May can still be tricky weather-wise. Frost is still a risk, isn't it?
It definitely can be, even if the days feel warm. A late cold snap can really damage tender young plants.
So keep those protections handy. Row covers, old sheets.
Yep, better to have them, not need them. And if you're unsure about your local last frost date,
Check the USDA plant hardiness zone map.
exactly, it's a really useful tool for gardeners.
Okay, so that covers getting seeds started outside. What about the ones we've been babying indoors?
Ah, yes, the transition phase. Moving those indoor seedlings outdoors needs care. It's called hardening off.
Right, you can't just take them from the windowsill straight into the garden bed.
No, that's a shock to their system. Hardening off is about gradually exposing them to outdoor conditions. Sun, wind, temperature changes.
How long does that usually take?
Typically 7 to 10 days. Start them in shade for a few hours, then gradually increase the time outdoors and the amount of direct sun.
And there was a tip about watering them the night before starting the process.
Yeah, water them well. It helps reduce stress during that initial move. Simple, but effective.
And check the weather forecast. Don't put them out just before a massive downpour or strong winds.
Good point. You don't want them flattened or waterlogged straight away. Oh, and an interesting note about heirloom seeds.
What about them?
They often adapt better to organic conditions, perhaps because they haven't been bred specifically for high-input, chemically supported systems.
That makes sense. So once they're hardened off, what's the signal to actually plant them out, especially the tender ones like tomatoes and peppers?
Consistent nighttime warmth is key. You really want those overnight temperatures to stay reliably above 10 degrees Celsius, that's 50 Fahrenheit.
planting too early just sets them back, doesn't it?
It really does. They can get stunted, become more susceptible to diseases. Yeah. Patience is important here.
Okay, and for the real heat lovers, like sweet corn and cucumbers, it's not just air temp, is it?
No, soil temperature is critical for them. The sources recommend waiting until the soil is at least 21 Celsius or 70 Fahrenheit.
That's quite warm. Why is that so crucial?
Cold soil just shocks their roots. It won't grow well, might even rot. Warm soils gets them off to a flying start.
So how do you warm the soil if it's lagging behind?
Covering the beds with black plastic or even cardboard for a week or two beforehand can really help absorb solar heat.
But remove it before planting, obvious.
Obviously. And using a soil thermometer is a good idea. Takes the guesswork out.
Definitely sounds useful. So while we wait for that ideal warmth for the summer crops, mid-May is good for cooler weather stuff.
Yeah, things like broccoli, leeks, they're generally happy to go out a bit earlier once hardened off.
It really shows how different plants have different needs. Now, the sources had that handy planting out guide. Let's look at tomatoes first. Soil temp 15C+, spaced 24-36 inches, basil and marigolds as companions, mulch with straw. What's the thinking there?
Well, the companions, basil and marigolds, are classic pest deterrents for tomatoes.
Right, and the spacing gives them room to grow and allows air circulation.
Exactly. Prevents fungal issues. And the straw mulch conserves water, suppresses weeds. It all works together.
Okay, cucumbers. Soil 21C+, 12-24 inches apart. Nasturtiums and dill as companions use trellises.
Trellising is great. Saves space, better airflow, easier picking. Nasturtiums are said to repel squash bugs.
And dill attracts beneficial insects, maybe.
Yeah, predatory insects that eat pests. It's about creating that ecosystem.
Then broccoli. Soil 10C+, 18-24 inches spacing, dill and celery companions, and interplant with lettuce.
The lettuce thing is clever. It acts as a living mulch, shading the soil, keeping it cool as temperatures rise, which broccoli likes.
Helping extend the broccoli season, potentially.
Could do. And dill and celery might help deter cabbage moths or other brassica pests.
And finally, sweet corn. Soil 21C plus, again, close spacing at 12 inches, beans and squash companions. The three sisters.
A classic. Corn provides the structure for beans to climb, squash shades the ground, and beans fix nitrogen. It's a fantastic, sustainable system.
It really is. Okay, so when we actually put these hardened-off seedlings in the ground, any final tips to minimize shock?
Well, water them well the night before, like we said.
Yeah.
Planting in the evening or on a cloudy day helps too.
Less direct sun stress?
Exactly. And a little diluted compost tea when you plant can give them a gentle nutrient boost.
And mulch again?
Always mulch. Straight after planting, it just helps settle everything in.
So important. Okay, plants are in. How do we keep the food coming all season? Succession planting, right?
Yes. That's the strategy for continuous harvests. Don't plant everything at once. Stagger it.
So instead of a mountain of lettuce in June and none in July.
You sow a new row every few weeks.
Yeah.
Same for radishes, bush beans. Just keep replacing what you harvest.
Makes perfect sense. And the tip about pairing fast and slow growers.
Yeah, like radishes with broccoli.
Yeah.
Pull the quick radishes out long before the broccoli needs the space. Maximizes your bed usage.
Smart. And related to succession planting is crop rotation. Why is that so crucial long term?
It prevents the buildup of soil-borne pests and diseases specific to one plant family. And it helps balance nutrient use. Different plants take up different things.
So mixing it up each year is key. The example was simple. Legumes, then brassicas, then nightshades.
That's a good basic rotation. Breaks pest cycles, improves soil health over time.
Right. So planting is done, rotation planned, but the garden needs ongoing care, doesn't it? Water, weeds, pests. Organically, of course.
Always ongoing. May is when things really start growing, including the challenges. Let's talk natural pest control first.
Okay. Slugs are often an early menace. The slug pub idea.
Yeah, a shallow dish of beer. They're attracted to it, fall in, and drown. It's surprisingly effective, if a bit grim.
And neem oil spray.
A good general-purpose organic insecticide for things like aphids. Mix a little neem oil, water, and a drop of dish soap to emulsify.
And encouraging the good guys. Ladybugs, lacewings.
Definitely. Planting things like dill, yarrow, alyssum attracts beneficial insects that prey on pests. Let nature do some of the work.
And what mistakes make pest problems worse?
Overwatering is a big one, creates damp conditions slugs love. And overcrowding plants restricts airflow, which can encourage fungal diseases.
So good spacing and careful watering are preventative.
Exactly. Prevention is often easier than cure in organic gardening.
Speaking of water, conserving it is important. What are some good techniques?
Drip irrigation or soaker hoses are very efficient, delivering water right to the roots.
Minimizes evaporation.
Right. And harvesting rainwater in barrels is fantastic. Watering in the morning is usually best too. Lets foliage dry before evening.
And the pro tip again? Mulch first, then water.
It seals the deal. Holds that moisture in the soil where the plants need it.
Okay, weeds, the other constant battle. Organic strategies.
Hand weeding is effective, especially when the soil is moist after rain roots come out easier.
Get them while they're small.
That's the key. And using cardboard as mulch on paths or even in beds is great for smothering existing weeds.
Like sheet mulching.
Exactly. Corn gluten meal was mentioned too as a natural pre-emergent, stops weed seeds germinating.
Interesting. And maybe letting some weeds stay.
Yeah, things like purslane or dandelions can be edible, nutritious even, and dandelions are a great early food for pollinators. Rethink what a weed is.
Good point. Let's dig into soil care, more mulching and composting, building that long-term health.
So important. Spring composting sets you up with nutrient-rich material. Balancing those greens and browns is key for good decomposition.
Greens being nitrogen-rich stuff like kitchen scraps, grass clippings.
And browns being carbon-rich, like dried leaves, straw, cardboard. You need a mix.
And tips for better compost.
Turn the pile regularly adds oxygen. Brewing compost tea gives you a liquid feed. And avoid meat, dairy, oily stuff.
Attracts pests and smells bad.
Yep. Vermicomposting using worms is another great option. Produces amazing worm castings.
Fantastic fertilizer. Now, back to mulch types. The guide has specific uses.
Yeah, straw or hay for veggie beds. Keeps soil covered, breaks down nicely. Leaf mold is wonderful for shrubs and perennials.
Improves soil structure over time.
Cardboard for paths or starting new beds. Suppresses weeds really well. Wood chips are great for paths too. Or round trees, longer lasting.
And they all have sustainability perks, like recycling yard waste or being biodegradable.
Exactly. It's about closing loops in the garden.
The sources also gave recipes for simple organic fertilizers.
Yeah, compost tea, just steep compost in water. Diluted seaweed extract is full of micronutrients.
And crushed eggshells around tomatoes for calcium.
A classic tip, helps prevent blossom and rot. And working worm castings into planting holes gives plants a great start.
Simple, effective, and natural. Love it. Okay, let's wrap up with those common May FAQs. First up, late frosts. How to protect seedlings.
Cover them. Row covers, fleece, old sheets, cloches, whatever you have. Watering the soil in the afternoon can also help it retain some heat overnight.
And focus on the most tender plants first.
Right. Prioritize things like tomatoes, peppers, squash.
What if you feel like you're getting a really late start? Is it too late to plant in late May?
Definitely not. You just adjust your choices. Focus on fast-maturing crops, bush beans, zucchini, cucumbers, some lettuces.
Maybe start things now for a fall harvest, too.
Yes, things like kale, Brussels sprouts could be started indoors, or maybe even direct sown, depending on the variety and your climate. And plant flowers for pollinators.
Always important. And keep those late planting well-watered as summer heats up.
Crucial. They have less time to establish deep roots before the real heat hits.
Fantastic. So looking back at May, it's clear these tasks, planting purposefully, nurturing the soil, managing pests, naturally they really build the foundation.
It really is about laying the groundwork for the whole season. Thinking about companion planting, using those heirloom seeds, building soil with compost and mulch, rotating crops.
It's all interconnected. It's about seeing the garden as an ecosystem.
Exactly. And remembering that sustainability isn't a destination, it's, an ongoing practice. Every little step helps.
Well said. June will bring new tasks trellising, more succession sowing, watching for different pests.
But we can definitely feel good about the progress made in May.
Absolutely. The garden's growing, and so is its resilience, hopefully ours too.
Let's keep growing, keep learning, and keep tending our plots for a more sustainable future. It's a rewarding journey.